Did you know a full bag of groceries in 1965 Canada cost less than what a latte does today? Wait until you hear the exact numbers. Picture this. It's Saturday morning, 1965. A Canadian father hands his 7-year-old son a single quarter and sends him to the corner store. That kid walks out with a bottle of pop, a bag of chips, and still has enough left over for 8 cents worth of candy. 24 jujubes, to be exact. Sound impossible? It's not. It actually happened. The numbers are going to shock you. But more than that, the whole picture of how Canadians lived, what they could afford, and how far a single dollar stretched is going to blow your mind. In 1965, families were buying brand new 3-bedroom houses for $17,000. A father making $12,000 a year could support his whole family. His wife didn't work. They were doing just fine. So what happened? How did we go from a time when finding a quarter in the couch cushions made you rich to today, where that same quarter won't even buy you a stick of gum? We're going back to 1965 Canada. We're walking through the grocery store, the gas station, the car dealership. We're going to look at actual prices, real family budgets, and the stuff that nobody talks about anymore. Let's start with the most basic thing, food. Because if you think grocery shopping is expensive now, you need to hear what it cost back then. A loaf of white bread in 1965 cost you 12 cents. 12 cents. Not $1.20, not $2, 12 pennies. You could buy a dozen eggs for about 50 cents. A pound of butter was around 60 cents. Ground beef? Maybe 70 cents a pound. Chicken was cheap too, something like 40 cents a pound. But here's where it gets really interesting. A full week of groceries for a family of 4 cost about $20, 20 bucks. One viewer told me his dad dropped a $20 bill in a grocery store parking lot in 1961, picked it up, and that paid for a week of groceries and a full tank of gas for the car. The whole family was fed, and the car was ready to go, all from one $20 bill someone dropped. Milk was delivered right to your door in glass bottles. The milkman would show up early in the morning and leave fresh milk on your doorstep. A gallon cost about 25 cents, and that included the bottle. When you were done, you'd leave the empty bottle out, and they'd pick it up, wash it, and use it again. No plastic, no waste, just simple. You want to talk about eating out? A hamburger at a roadside joint cost 35 cents. A big one too, with a real patty, tomato, lettuce, onions, the whole deal. Montreal had these incredible hamburger spots where you could get a large burger for a quarter. Add in an order of fries for 15 cents, and you had yourself a solid meal for 40 cents total. Coffee was a big deal back then too, just like it is now. But the price? A cup of coffee at a diner or restaurant cost you 10 cents, 1 dime. You could sit at the counter, drink your coffee, read the newspaper, smoke a cigarette, and chat with strangers about the hockey game from the night before. That was the routine. No fancy drinks, no $7 lattes, just simple coffee for a dime. Kids had it good when it came to candy. Penny candy was real. You could walk into a corner store with a few pennies and come out with your pockets full. One person remembered being completely broke as a kid, finding a 2-cent empty pop bottle on the street, returning it to the store for the deposit, and buying 6 candies with that money, 6 pieces of candy from a bottle someone threw away. Another viewer said their dad would give them $1 on Saturday. With that single dollar, they'd go to the store and buy 10 chocolate bars for the family. Chocolate bars were 10 cents each. Some bars, like the 5-star, were only a nickel. Kids would stock up on bars like Bar 6, Malted Milk, Marathon, Eat More Mr. Big, and Wig Wag bars, all for $1. Pop bottles were currency for kids. Small bottles had a 2-cent deposit. Big bottles were worth 5 cents. Kids would hunt around the neighborhood, collect empty bottles, and return them for cash. Then they'd load up on candy, popsicles, and pop. A quarter could get you a bottle of pop for 12 cents, a bag of chips for 5 cents, and you'd still have 8 cents left over for candy. Now let's talk about something that really hits hard. Housing. because this is where the difference between 1965 and today is almost impossible to believe. A brand new 3-bedroom house in 1965 cost between $15,000 and $20,000. We're talking about a full house, all brick construction new build. 3 bedrooms, a real family home. One viewer said their parents bought a house in the mid-60s for $16,000. They just looked up what houses in that same neighborhood sell for now, $1.6 million. That's 100 times more expensive. A house that cost $16,000 in 1965 is now worth over $1.5 million. Another person shared that their dad bought a house in 1970 for $19,000. His father made $12,000 a year, his mother didn't work. And they were doing fine. They weren't rich, they weren't struggling, they were just a normal middle-class family living comfortably on one income. The monthly mortgage payments were incredibly low, too. One family bought a new all-brick house in 1962 for $15,700. Their monthly payment, including property taxes, was $125. That's it. Their natural gas heating bill was $17 a month. The father made $7,500 a year, and they lived very well. Rent was cheap, too, if you didn't want to buy. In 1974, you could rent a 2-bedroom apartment for $60 a month, $60. One guy said he was married with 1 child, making $69 a week, paying $60 a month for rent, and they made it work. His wife didn't work either. They had a car that cost $1,000. They ate fast food on Friday nights for $4 for the whole family. They weren't rich, but they got by just fine. Let's move on to cars, because transportation costs were wildly different too. A brand new car in 1965 wasn't exactly cheap compared to other things, but it was still way more affordable than today. A new car might run you around $3,000, maybe up to $4,000 if you wanted something nice. A used car was dirt cheap. You could find a decent running car for $500 to $1,000. Easy. Gas was the real kicker, though. A gallon of gas in 1965 cost about 35 cents. Some places it was even cheaper, around 33 cents. Think about what that means. You could fill up your entire tank for less than $5. One viewer said it cost $3.75 to fill up their dad's Pontiac Strato Chief, the whole tank, under $4. And gas stations back then actually provided service. You didn't pump your own gas. You'd pull up, and an attendant would come out, fill your tank, clean your windshield, check your oil, check your tire pressure, and give you a free road map if you needed one. All of that was included. No extra charge. That was just part of buying gas. Let's talk about other everyday expenses. Going to the movies was cheap. A movie ticket for a kid cost about 25 cents. For adults, maybe 50 cents to $1, depending on the theater. Cigarettes were everywhere back then. A pack of cigarettes cost about 25 cents in 1965. By the early 70s, it went up to around 50 cents. Comic books cost 12 cents. There was no difference between American and Canadian prices either. The two currencies were almost equal, so a comic book cost 12 cents, whether you bought it in Toronto or New York. Records were cheap too. A 45 RPM single record could be found for about 10 cents at old record shops. Let's talk about wages now, because this is important. The average Canadian income in 1965 was around $6,500 to $7,000 a year. That sounds insanely low compared to today, but remember, a house cost $17,000. A week of groceries was $20. A car was $3,000. The wages matched the cost of living. Minimum wage in 1965 was about 95 cents an hour. Some people made $1 an hour. That was considered decent pay for basic work. By the mid-70s, if you were making $6 an hour, you were doing pretty well. If you made $10 an hour, people thought you were rolling in money. Here's a real example. In 1977, one guy was living on his own, working full-time, and making around $8 an hour. He had a large one-bedroom apartment, a new car, plenty of food, and more money than he needed, $8 an hour, and he was comfortable. The big difference was that one income could support a family. The husband worked. The wife stayed home with the kids. That was normal. It wasn't seen as a luxury, it was just how things worked. The cost of living was low enough that one average salary could cover a house, a car, food, and bills, and still have a bit left over. There were no credit cards in most households. People didn't have credit card debt because credit cards weren't everywhere yet. If you wanted to buy something expensive, you'd use layaway. You'd go to a store, pick out what you wanted, put down a deposit, make monthly payments, and when it was paid off, you'd take it home. No debt, no interest charges. Another thing people don't realize is that the money itself was different. Canadian coins from 1920 to 1967 were made with 80% silver dimes, quarters, 50-cent pieces, and silver dollars all had real silver in them. In 1965, you could take a paper dollar into a bank and walk out with a real silver dollar. The currency was backed by precious metals. Then in 1968, Canada stopped using silver in coins. That shift is part of why prices have gone up so much. When money was backed by gold and silver, there was a limit to how much could be printed. But once that connection was broken, currency became easier to create and inflation took off. The value of a dollar started to drop, and it's been dropping ever since. People back then also valued things differently. There was no such thing as buying a new phone every 2 years. You didn't have subscription services draining your bank account every month. There was no $7 Starbucks habit, no $1,500 phones. Entertainment and convenience were simpler and cheaper. Families ate together at home most nights. Restaurants were treats, not regular occurrences. Kids played outside until the streetlights came on. People talked to each other face to face. Neighbors knew each other. Communities were tighter. Life moved slower in some ways. But something happened between then and now. The cost of living started climbing faster than wages. Housing went from affordable to out of reach for most young people. A single income stopped being enough. Both parents had to work just to get by. Debt became normal. Some people point to the 70s as the turning point. That's when inflation kicked in. The oil crisis hit. Prices started going up faster than they had before. Others point to government policies. When Canada went off the silver standard in 1968, money became easier to print. More money in circulation meant each dollar was worth less. Then, in 1971, the United States went off the gold standard completely. Since the Canadian dollar was tied to the US dollar, that affected Canada too. Suddenly, money was just paper. It only had value because people agreed it had value. Corporations changed too. Over time, companies got bigger. They merged and bought each other out. Competition decreased, prices went up, wages stagnated. The gap between the rich and everyone else got wider. Taxes went up too. In 1965, there was no GST or HST. Those didn't exist yet. So where does that leave us now? We have things today that people in 1965 couldn't imagine. Medical technology is better. We have access to information instantly. Those are real improvements. But we've also lost something. We've lost affordability. We've lost the ability for a regular person with a regular job to buy a house and raise a family without drowning in debt. Looking back at 1965 isn't about being nostalgic for some perfect past. It wasn't perfect. But it's about understanding what changed and asking why. Why can't one income support a family anymore? Why does a house cost $1 million? The answers matter, because if we understand what went wrong, maybe we can figure out how to fix it. 1965, Canada wasn't some fantasy land. It was real. The prices were real. The wages were real. And the fact that it seems impossible now should tell us something. People back then weren't superhuman. They just lived in a system where things were more balanced. And if it worked then, there's no reason it couldn't work again. If this video got you thinking, check out the next one where we go even deeper.